So this is a project I was sponsored by the Ministry of Justice, and the purpose was to mount an exhibition around the province to show ways that people are trafficked in the three countries that I visited: Bangladesh, Sierra Leone, and Mexico. And it sounds crazy. Why here in British Columbia would the government ministry hire me to do that? But the pitch I made to them was that these are stories of trafficking that, sure, they happen in faraway places, but they also happen here at home in eerily similar ways. The circumstances might be really different. I tell stories of organ harvesting, abduction for organ harvesting, child soldiers. Those stories don't happen overseas, but the way that vulnerable people are exploited by groups looking to take advantage of them are the same things that lead to sexual exploitation in British Columbia and domestic abuse. So that's the purpose. And I kind of happened into it I was working in Bangladesh. I'm an adventure sports photographer trying to make a switch into humanitarian photography. And I was in Bangladesh 2 years ago and working with a group called Young Power and Social Action and 4 other groups there. And before I went, a friend said, if you happen across any human trafficking, I've got a social justice project and I'd like just some pictures and a bit of a storyline to go along with that. But through this group, it's called Young Power and Social Action, based out of Bangladesh, created by Bangladeshis, amazing NGO. They ran a section that supported people who'd been victims of trafficking. And so they gave me easy access to people to talk to. And I came and I decided, okay, how am I going to get the storyline? Why don't I video them? And so I took a 20, 25-minute video, and then I took some portraits. And the person said, this is really rich. Can we develop this into something? And I decided I didn't want to be telling the story. And so I spent some time and money, and I got the interviews transcribed from Bengali into English. And so all my stories are in the first person, the voice of the person. And that was the way that it started. A year later, I went to Sierra Leone to work with a group that supports people who are suffering trauma from the brutal civil war that happened there and in Liberia. And I just sought out different people who had been trafficked, and a lot of that was child soldiers and some people involved in sexual exploitation, and a young man who basically his parents sold him, and that was sort of the second gleaming. And then it's built. After that project, I got the intention to look at this issue both north and south, meaning that I've worked now in 3 southern countries, but the same issues happen here in North America and in Europe. And I'm beginning to gather stories in Canada, and I'll go to Europe and gather stories there. And it's just meant to show, again, the different circumstances where people are exploited and survive their ordeal. It was really interesting, too, talking to the people that I interviewed and asking them what their motivation for speaking with me was. And almost everyone, even the very young children, through their parents, they said, well, we're telling you this because it's something affirmative that we can do to, in some small way, prevent other people from falling into the same trap that we did. And they were is really wonderful, the sort of the strength and the empowerment that gave them. And it also gave me a bit of an incentive. I've never launched an exhibition before, and I'm not very public with my work beyond some commercial aspects, but I'm not a big booster, but I felt a real obligation. I made a commitment to them that, yeah, if you tell me the story, I'll get it in front of people. So that's what I want it to be about, is people telling their stories. So it's not as much my photography project as me just being the catalyst to bringing this in front of a lot of people. And that worked really well with the Ministry of Justice. So once the people that told me their story gave me their mandate that they wanted this in front of other people so they could learn from it. And there's a bit of a struggle to think about how to put that together. And then I got very, very fortunate, and I found a great team willing to help me do that. I work with a woman by the name of Drew Ann Wake, who has a small social justice firm called Livewires. And she wrote a proposal for me with the University of the Fraser Valley as the applicant to mount this exhibition. And Satwinder Baines, the head of the program at UFV, has been such a strong supporter. The Ministry of Justice has bent over backwards to support the work as well, and has been really pleased with the results they've had. But Roz Curry and Victor Porter have been instrumental in making this all happen. And so that's sort of at the larger end. At the smaller end, this organization, the DOC, this social development collective, has been wonderful to partner with. And also with the International Institute for Children's Rights, they came to the early show. It was kind of just I'll look at a few of the stories and like what they saw, and so they were the ones that made the invitation here and to work with the doc, and it's just been wonderful bringing it to Victoria. I'm really grateful. And the list goes on. You know, it seems like such a small project, 11 images and stories, and yet the 3 organizations that I partnered with in those countries, without them, Young Power in Social Action in Bangladesh, Casa Alianza in Mexico City, and Commit and Act in Bo, Sierra Leone, again, just made things happen. Without that happening, these stories would never come to light. And then the personal support of individuals, Tanya Siglinde in Mexico, who spent 2 months with me wandering around providing translation and really getting me access and living very rough as we went after these stories. And I have a long list of thank yous, but it's kind of overwhelms me at times at just how big a team to bring these small number of stories in front of people. I am overcome with gratitude and appreciation and sort of a beautiful thing about the world and people and community. And you, thanks for getting the word out. We appreciate it.